Wife cheated after 13 years together. Hi everyone, a little background. My wife, 28 female, and I, 28 male, have been together for 13 years. We started dating when we were roughly 16, never broke up, and got married 3 years ago. We had the kind of relationship that others were jealous of, and everyone always expected us to get married when we were younger. Over the past year and a half to 2 years, things started changing between us. Some issues came up with her family, and she started to become more and more distant, both emotionally and physically, starting being super protective of her phone, and grew closer and closer with a male coworker. Long story short, I snooped. Yes, I know this is bad. On her phone because I had a feeling something was going on based on a variety of factors, and found incriminating texts confirming that she was having an affair with this guy. When I confronted her early September, she owned up to it, saying that it had been going on for a year. They had been having the affair in our home, sleeping together in the bedroom that would eventually be the room where our future children slept. She apologized, saying it would never happen again, and I told her that in order for us to move on, I need her to have no contact with the person she cheated on me with. 2 months later, and they're still talking occasionally, with her saying it is unfair of me to ask her to not talk to someone she considers a close friend. I honestly don't know what to do at this point. I'm trying to see if I can move on, but I feel like I can never trust her again. I feel like her choosing to be in touch with him still shows that she is choosing their relationship over ours. I'm just totally torn on what my gut is telling me. She also told me not to tell any of our friends what is going on, so I don't even have someone to talk to. Sorry, this is a bit of a rant, but it's the first time I have written it all out, and I really do not know how to proceed or how to cope with this. Edit. Was not expecting this large of a reaction. Outside a few of you that seem to think nasty replies are appropriate when someone has their entire life crumble around them. This was helpful. I know what I need to do, I just need to rip off the band-aid and do it. I'm going to call the lawyer I spoke to a few weeks ago tomorrow and see how he says I should approach the situation. Update 1. Hey everyone, I figured it was time to update since all of your advice was so helpful. After posting here a little over a month ago and reading all of your advice, I called my lawyer, told my parents and some close friends what was going on, and told my wife that I wanted a divorce. She begged and pleaded, promising to make things better and cut off contact with the AP. We spent all weekend together with her, promising things and saying and doing all the right things. I did not fully believe her, but I was willing to give her one more chance to try and save what I thought we had. Things were fine. We were more or less just coexisting for about a month, but she was on her phone a lot less and was more attentive to me. Well, 2 weekends ago, she handed me her phone to show me something, and I suspiciously swiped up on her open apps, and there she was talking to her AP on Instagram. I flipped out, and she promised he just messaged her, and she told him that she could not talk. This was blatantly false as I read their conversation, and they were discussing what they were each doing that night. I was again duped, lied to, and deceived. She told me she would finally block him, but wanted to say goodbye since he was a friend. I said it was inexcusable and that she had to cut off contact and block him right then, which she said she would. 2 days later, I asked if she had blocked him, and she had not yet. End of the long story, I told her right on the spot that we were getting a divorce, and we can either go through mediation if she agrees to every single thing that I want, or I can get my lawyer involved and I will get what I want anyway. She agreed to mediation, and we are beginning that process shortly. It took me some time to get there, longer than it probably should have, but I finally have enough respect for myself to put an end to this and go find the life of happiness that I deserve. She still tries to make me feel bad about all of this, blaming me to a degree and telling me how awful of a situation I am putting her in, but I remind her that it was her actions that caused this, not mine, and that she has to live with the consequences of her actions. I have also begun telling more friends about what happened along with the rest of my family. This is not how I ever saw my life going, but I know that this is a blessing in disguise, and I will end up with someone who truly makes me happy. Final update. Hey everyone, I, 29 male, know it has been a while since I last posted here, but I wanted to provide one final update on my story since you were all so helpful during this process. So, after telling my ex, 29 female, that we were getting a divorce, the gaslighting went into overdrive, blaming me, telling me that it is my fault that I am doing this to us, that I am giving up on our marriage, that it is really sad that I am letting our relationship end this way, and that I'm going to take away the home that our dog knows, etc., etc. I stood strong didn't let her get to me, and went through with divorce mediation. Mediation was smooth. She agreed to everything that I wanted, and I received notice from the courts yesterday that I am a free man. We sold the house within 3 months of starting mediation. She moved out 1 month prior to closing on the house. The gaslighting continued while living together waiting for the house to sell, with her continuing to blame me and telling me that I am mean because I refuse to speak to her at all, and countless other things that only a truly sick individual would think to be true given the situation. Once the house sold, I moved back to my parents for a few months to collect myself and just figure out what to do with my life. I started weekly therapy and was able to reflect on the relationship, seeing how toxic and one-sided everything was. How I was the one always putting myself second and sacrificing my happiness to try to tolerate her and her unrealistic needs and expectations. My therapist suggests that it sounds like she has borderline personality disorder, which is a condition that runs in her family, and it makes total sense. I was also able to, and continue to, work on underlying issues that allowed me to get into such a toxic relationship, and at this point I feel like I will be able to identify the warning signs. I recommitted to my physical health as well, losing 15 pounds over the last 3 months and getting back into running, currently training for a 10K. Early this month, I moved into my own place in New York City. I am reconnecting with friends who I lost touch with, and I have started dating for the first time in my life, albeit pretty unsuccessfully at this point. Plus, I got a promotion at work a few weeks ago that I worked my tail off for. I am mentally, physically, emotionally, and financially in a better place than I have been in years. And her showing me her true colors by having this affair was the greatest favor she could have done for me. I still have not told all of our mutual friends about the affair, as I was afraid she would get angry and tank mediation. But now that the divorce is final, I will be notifying everyone in our lives as to who she is and what she did. I guess all this was all just a long-winded way of saying that things will get better. There is nothing wrong with any of us because we were cheated on, and to try to use this as a launching point for you making yourself better and working to make yourself the best possible person. This is going to be my last significant post here, most likely, as well I don't think my journey of healing has come to an end. It's just come to a new chapter, and dwelling on what this woman did to me is not worth it. Thank you again for all the support, both in terms of kind words as well as the harsh truths that I had to read. Second story.
My dad is trying to force my uncontrollable stepsister on my trip, and I told him I never forgive him. I, 17 female, am graduating and my friends, and I have already planned a trip to a cabin for the summer before we start college. I have been a babysitter since I was 13, so I have saved up a considerable amount of money. When I was 15, my dad remarried about 1.5 years after my mom passed away. My dad's wife had a 13-year-old daughter, and as soon as we moved in together, they started to push her off on me and force us to do everything together. I don't like my stepsister. She's always throwing tantrums if she doesn't get what she wants. She's spoiled to the point that at my 16th birthday, she got her own special cake, so she wouldn't feel left out, and she also blew out the candles on my cake. And when I complained, my dad told me, "It's time to grow up. Being a sister is about sharing things." I told him I didn't have a sister, and I guess she overheard, and she went on a rampage. The party was ruined. I distanced myself more from them after that. I was forced to either take her with me to places or stay home with her if I can't take her, or my dad or dad's wife can't watch her or don't want to deal with her. Imagine everything that I said she does with my dad and his wife on to a 15 to 17-year-old me. I was forced to take her bowling with me, and she would not stop trying to dig her hands in the part where the balls come out, and she tried running down the lane, so I had to take her home, and my night was ruined. This happens a lot, but they don't care. I have tried to keep this trip a secret from her, but when I was in my room on the phone talking about it over pizza and music, I found out she snuck in and hid in the closet and was eavesdropping. She burst out asking if she could come, and I told her no and to get out. She started stomping her feet, and she ran out. My friends begged me to not invite her. My dad called me downstairs and asked if she could go because she could use a vacation, and I told him I'm not taking her. They can take her on a vacation, but I'm not watching her for almost 3 weeks alone. My dad's wife called me selfish and that my dad was paying for a portion of it anyway, and if Lily doesn't go, then I don't get to go. I told her she doesn't get a say in any of this. She's not my mom, and to stop forcing her child on me when she created what she is. Lily starts yelling at me about not being a big sister, and I don't want to spend time with her. I snap and tell her I don't. She ran away crying, and my dad said he won't pay for the rest of my trip if I don't take her. So I told him if he does that I will not be talking to him anymore, nor will I forgive him for it. He said I'm being dramatic and she isn't bad. So I grabbed a bag and went to my aunt's house, my mom's sister, and told her what happened, and she said she would put up what he took away, and when I go to college, I can stay with her. I told my dad what I was doing, and he blew up at me and said I was being a brat, and they're my family now and not my aunt. As far as I know, she does not have any disabilities. She's been to doctors and therapy. She's just insanely spoiled, and that's how she's always gotten her way when told no. The first time I met her, everyone agreed on Mexican except her, and she was yelling in the car for 10 minutes before she calmed down by her mom appeasing her. Then she goes back on her phone texting. If she does, then that explains why she acts that way, and I can take it that she can't help it, but I still shouldn't be forced to watch her 24/7. Update. I know a lot of people wanted an update to my last post. I can't post a link, so you can go to my profile to see it. The trip happened, and I did not end up taking her like I said I wasn't. From the time that I posted that up until the time that I left, the household was very tense and awkward. I was not speaking to any of them. The only person I had to confide in and talk to my aunt, and I was so grateful for her. My dad still thought that I was going to bring her on the trip, and I kept telling him that I am not watching her, and she is not coming with me. The morning of the trip, we left at like 6 in the morning. When he called me, I was already about 5 hours out, so he couldn't do anything. When I got back, it was a lot of yelling and crying for me and my dad and his wife. She said that I left them in a tough position and they had to stay home because they couldn't get anyone to watch Lily. My dad and I had a serious talk for hours, and he agreed that maybe we need to separate so we can work on our relationship, which hurt me because I would have liked for him to tell me I can stay in my own home while we do it. But I did end up going to my aunt's house with no issues. My dad and I started family therapy with just the two of us. His wife was pretty upset. He was actually listening to me and was seeing where I was coming from. Right when we were getting good and building a better relationship, I came over for dinner, and he asked if we could integrate his wife and Lily into therapy, and I told him that I had no interest in having a relationship with them. She called me a selfish C *********, and that I needed to be grateful that she let me stay with them after she moved in. I waited for my dad to correct her, and he was silent pretty much, so I left, and I haven't talked to him in almost a month. He keeps showing me that he will not be on my side. So, to wrap things up, the cabin trip was so much fun. I have never felt so free from a burden. The trip was in June, and we were there for almost a month. We extended it. When I was packing for school, my dad came to visit, and I guess his wife called, and he had to lie about where he was because I guess she doesn't want him to see me. So I told him, we don't need to have contact right now or continue therapy because it's clear which part of his family he cares more about. I don't know what's going to become of my dad, and right now I don't care. I'm focused on school and studying to become a nurse. I don't want any negativity to ruin this experience, but I'd be lying if I said it doesn't hurt that I don't have a parent to experience this with, but my aunt says she is my surrogate mom and to share all my worries and success with her. I am currently in my first week of college, and the amount of freedom I feel here is also so new. I am a little overwhelmed, but I am in an honors club. I also am in a creative writing/book club, and the friends I have made are so amazing. I am currently living on campus, and I have never been better mentally. I am getting separate therapy to deal with my mom's death because that was never offered to me by my dad. My aunt has truly become a mother figure to me. Being 2 states away from her is really hard, but I can't wait for weekend visits and holiday visits. Also, another thing is that I'm going to be a godmother. My aunt was told at 22 that she would never be able to have kids, and she is currently 4 months pregnant. And I'm so excited because if anybody is going to be a good mother, I know it's going to be her. When she came to visit and tell me I think she saw I was a little worried. I told her I am so excited and happy for her and nothing will change that, but she's the only family I have right now and don't want to get left behind like I did at home. And we cried, and she promised me that she was filling in for my mom and she will be there for the rest of my life, whether I like it or not. I am planning the baby shower and I can't wait for the baby to be here. But yeah, that's it. Thank you all for checking up on me and giving me encouraging words.